It is no secret that the Zonai and their technology are a central part of Tears of the Kingdom, their devices and magic playing a crucial role in both gameplay and story. But one thing that has always intrigued me was the nature of their mysterious green magic. It turns out that it goes much deeper than I originally thought. So, sit back, relax, and let me take you on this journey as we uncover the mystery of the Zonai's source of power. The Zonai civilization began to prosper with the discovery and processing of a mysterious material they found in the lowest depths of the world, one which came to be known as Zonite, a strange green ore that housed an incredible untapped potential. The larger the chunk of Zonite, the higher the amount of concentrated energy found within it. The ancient Zonai processed these minerals in furnaces by smelting it to create minerals they called Zonai charges, allowing the Zonai to extract the energy from these minerals and harness the energy to power their technology, such as the Zonai devices and the construct golems, all of which had this green energy flowing through them. It is abundantly clear that these rocks contain the energy that we associate with the Zonai and their magic. But it is not as simple as attributing their magic to these rocks. They merely share the same source of power. We have to dig deeper to understand why Zonite contains this green energy to begin with. To understand its true nature, we must look at another, more sinister substance found in the depths where Zonite is primarily found: gloom. Gloom, or shoki as it is known in Japanese, is a red, misty substance that causes illness and death to anyone that comes in contact with it. This miasma is found most prominently in the depths of Hyrule, and very much associated with the Demon King Ganondorf, who harnesses and uses this dark power, but also existed before Ganondorf's transformation into Demon King. In this interview by Nintendo Dream, Fujibayashi reveals that when Ganondorf was sealed by Rauru, his gloom was absorbed by Rauru and purified into green Zonai energy. We can see this directly in the game, with the gloom flowing into Rauru's arm and being expelled as spiraling green energy. This is also true for shrines. Since the founding of the Kingdom of Hyrule, monsters had frequently appeared in various locations across the land. As they threatened the people's livelihoods, the worried King Rauru and Queen Sonia personally went on a pilgrimage to various places to eradicate the evil. Using the power of light and time, they suppressed the evil by building shrines to act as cornerstones for the seal, which came to be called Shrines of Light, or as they are known in Japanese, Shrines of Exorcism. The result of this seal was the same spiraling green energy we saw with Ganondorf's seal, gloom being purified. This theme of purification and healing is seen all throughout Tears of the Kingdom, all tying back to light. Gloom is directly tied to the element of darkness, as we see from Ganondorf becoming the unofficial Sage of Darkness, as represented by the kanji Yami on his secret stone when he stole it from Sonia and became the Demon King. The Lights of Blessing, fragments of Rauru's light stored within the shrines, help to purify Link's arm from the infection of gloom following Ganondorf's attacks. Sandalions, a wild plant that grows in the sun, can also restore health depleted by gloom when used in cooking thanks to its petals soaked in sunlight. And deep in the depths, right under the Shrines of Light, light roots carry the light from the shrines directly above them to the depths below, where we can see the transition from the golden light of the Lights of Blessing become the green Zonai energy of the touchpad. This light, of course, heals gloom damage. And most interestingly, when Link is taken to the Great Sky Island by Rauru's hand, when Rauru attaches his arm to that of Link, we see the same green energy flowing into his arm as it attempts to heal his scars. This places Zonai energy and gloom as two direct opposing forces, creating a dichotomy of healing and disease, of light and darkness. These scars seen on Link were a direct result of the gloom attack of Ganondorf. The same can be seen with Ganondorf himself when he transformed into the Demon King, with the same patterns being found on his body formed by the gloom. But why then would the Zonai use patterns on their architecture that resembles the scars inflicted by gloom? We see them everywhere, from the Temple of Time, banners within Raru's Haru Castle, the four temples, the refineries, the devices, floating platforms, and even the golden bracelets worn by the Zonai, and the similar greenstone variants of the Zonite armor. They are found everywhere. The answer is because Zonai energy is purified gloom, with this being represented within the civilization by these patterns. Which brings us back to Zonite. We have established that gloom can be purified into the green energy of the Zonai, but Zonite glows with the same green energy, and when refined into a Zonai charge, this is brimming with this magic, which powers all the technology of the Zonai that also flow with this power. Given that the Zonite is found solely in the hellish depths where gloom proliferates, the only conclusion to be found is that Zonite is solidified chunks of purified gloom, with gloom likely having infused itself into the rocks of the depths, similar to the marble rock roasts of Death Mountain, which also go by the name of gloom rocks. This can be further reinforced when we take gloom and invert its color, revealing the green coloration of Zonai energy, and if we invert the color of Zonai magic and Zonite, they too reveal the bright red coloration of gloom. And by doing a very slight color edit, we could see how Zonite could easily have been gloom rocks. But all this goes much deeper than I initially realized. When gloom spawns, monstrous hand-like creations of Ganon despawn. They leave behind materials known as dark clumps, described to be filled with pitch-black darkness. These clumps are directly tied to the set of the depths, or how it is known in Japanese, the set of darkness, or kurayami, a term used to denote the complete and total absence of light, such as is the case for the depths and the dark clumps. The connections between the dark clumps and this armor is undeniable, given the matching cloths found wrapping both, with the set being described to have been woven from materials derived from monsters. But this armor and clumps have a much deeper connotation. This armor is given to us directly by the Bargainer statues, or Majin So, who can be seen wearing the same hooded tunic and having 4 eyes, making them very distinct from anything else we have seen in the series so far. The term Majin has been used in the series quite a bit to describe sorcerers, genies, or supernatural beings holding incredible and often dark powers. Majora's Wrath, Sorcerer Vati, Davos when transformed into Pyrus, and of course, the Bargainer statues. It should be noted that this use of the term Majin is different from this term Majin, referring to a deity that causes or brings forth calamities or disasters, such as Vati himself, turning from a Majin or sorcerer to a Majin or demon god when he absorbed the light force from Zelda, or Bellum from Phantom Hourglass, known as Mugen Majin Beramu, Dream Demon God Bellum, curiously also being a being that consumes force, usurping the rule of the seas from the Ocean King. The Majin from Tears of the Kingdom are described to be neither good nor evil, merely having a neutral stance and serving to guide Poes to the afterlife. But their connection to Gloom, or Shoki, a power attributed to darkness and the demon tribe, is undeniable. They were a group that learned not only how to harness the power of Gloom, but also be immune to it. What is interesting, however, is that an early design of the Depth's armor had symbolism of the Zonai down to the writing system and eye symbology. But all this was dropped from the design of the final game, with more monstrous, scorpion-like designs of a creature we have not seen in the game at all, which may be indicating that at one point Nintendo intended for this armor to have been created by the Zonai tribe to withstand the effects of gloom, but decided against it in favor of a more mysterious and darker tribe. These dark clumps, as one might expect, are used to upgrade the armor of the Depths, but what is most interesting is that they require the use of Zonite and large Zonite to upgrade them. The use of Zonite for upgrades is reserved for very specific armor sets. The aforementioned Depth set, the Miner set, the Zonai set, the Ancient Heroes Aspect, who is wearing the Zonai set. But what is very surprising too is that it is used to upgrade the 4 Divine Helms, the very ones worn by the champions who piloted the Divine Beasts 10,000 years ago, made of Sheikah technology. And these materials are not chosen at random. The items used for upgrading these armor sets make sense for each of the armors. For example, each of the Divine Beasts' helms has a precious stone that houses the respective elements of the helm. Vamero uses sapphire, which houses the power of ice. Panaboris has topaz, which houses the power of lightning. Varudania uses rubies, housing the power of fire. And Varuta has opals, housing the power of water. So the fact that the Zonai set, the Ancient Heroes Aspect, the Miner set, the Divine Helms, and the Depth's armor all utilize Zonite for upgrading them is highly significant, and drives a deeper connection between these sets. The ancient Sheikah from 10,000 years ago appeared to have known of the Zonai, even back in Breath of the Wild, not only by building the shrines within the ruins of the Zonai, but also in the precise locations that Rauru had built his own shrines of light during his time, as seen in the Dragon Tear memories. They also knew of the Zonai Divine Beast helms of the ancient sages, which they then replicated for the Divine Beasts and the helms of their respective champions. Not only that, but they also must have explored the depths, as not only are some towers coming straight from chasms leading straight down to the depths, or shrine puzzles requiring throwing Sheikah orbs down to the depths, such as in the case of the Yika clan hideout, but ancient blades were also unearthed in the depths by one of Minoru's minor constructs. I think it's safe to say that the Sheikah uncovered the Zonai technology and reverse engineered it to make their own technology, the Sheikah being inspired by the Zonai, and then Minoru, a member of the Zonai, being inspired by the Sheikah through the Pura Pad brought to her by Zelda from the future, to build teleportation devices for the shrines and light routes. While most Zonai technology uses green energy to power its technology, there is one exception: the energy cells. If we continue to upgrade the energy cells past its 8 energy wells, the energy wells will add power to the pre-existing wells and change them to blue instead of green, much like Sheikah Technology's blue energy. We can even see that they use identical forms of magic between games, with the Zonai using green rings of light with a counter at the top, and the Sheikah having their own version but in blue, specific to the Champions Ballad DLC. If it is true that Sheikah technology was indeed a result of refining Zonai energy resulting from the purification of gloom, this would be a very subtle way to tie the Sheikah back to their roots in Ocarina of Time, as being the tribe of darkness, with them utilizing and harnessing the power of darkness of the demon tribe, now in the form of gloom, but purified and refined. This is taken a step further when we look at the one-hit obliterator from the Champions Ballad DLC, a Sheikah weapon made to test the hero, which, when wielded, drained the energy of the wielder in a very similar way to gloom. This would make each of these 3 groups harness energy whose color and purpose represents a virtue of the Triforce. the Sheikah tribe having blue energy and being tied to wisdom, the Zonai tribe having green energy and being tied to courage, and the Bargainer or Majin tribe harnessing red gloom and being tied to power. So far, we have established that gloom is the source of power for the Zonai magic, with this being a purified form of the corrosive red miasma, and that this powers the Zonai's technology. But we've yet to explain how the Zonai themselves would be able to use powers such as Ascend, Ultra Hand, or Fuse. If we examine the designs of the Zonai, we will notice that all of them, at least those we have seen, wear golden bracelets on both of their hands with the aforementioned design of scars inflicted by gloom. When Link uses his Zonai powers, with the exception of Recall, which glows yellow only from the Sage emblem specifically, the bracelet itself begins to glow green, meaning it isn't just a simple decorative bracelet, it's technology that harnesses Zonai magic. By themselves, the Zonai bracelets don't hold any power. Power must be imbued into them. This is confirmed by Rauru himself when Link failed to open the Great Door of the Temple of Time.
That door will open only to those with sufficient power. In any case, that arm should allow you to open this door. It seems to have lost the power to do so. You might be able to restore it, but you would need to enter a place filled with sacred light.
So these powers can be lost if inflicted by gloom, and can also be restored when entering a place filled with sacred light. But the real question is, are these abilities artificially created by the Zonai, or are they born with them like the sages? Given that these powers act differently from that of Recall and the other sages, with them not getting a designated sage emblem on the hand itself, the answer seems to be that these were artificial powers or skills developed by the Zonai alongside their technology, as they are not only used to manipulate technology when developed, but also imbued within multiple artificial constructs, which seems to suggest that these powers may have been mass-produced. Sage powers, on the other hand, are passed on through the bloodline of the sages, with the descendants of multiple sages even being able to inherit multiple of their powers, as was the case with Zelda possessing both the time and light powers of Sonia and Rauru. But these powers could also be imbued into the Zonai bracelets. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of future uploads. Also, consider following me on Twitter and Instagram to stay in touch. This has been Solo Lore, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.